Hey, everybody. Looking forward to this chat today on internet visibility, a hot topic in cybersecurity with Censys. Aidan, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for being here. Really intrigued by the work you guys do. Maybe introduce yourself and what's the big idea at Censys these days?
For sure. So my name is Aidan Holland. I'm one of our senior security researchers here at Censys. Censys is the census of the internet. So census spelled with a Y. So census of systems. So we scan the entire internet every day. We actually hit every IPv4 host every 4 hours. So crazy speed, crazy visibility. It allows us to see a lot of malicious infrastructure before it pops up. It also gives us crazy visibility into industrial control systems and other systems that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see on the internet. So part of my job is taking that and making it so that people can consume that either in the threat hunting space or in the government compliance side of things.
Super cool approach. And, what problems do customers usually uncover once they start using Censys?
Yeah, so a lot of the things that we end up finding, we have one platform called Attack Surface Management, which allows us to help you find assets that you might not be aware of. There's a lot of this shadow IT, and I'm sure things that folks are familiar with, but some developer spins something up in AWS and forgets about it. So same thing. You move things into the cloud or you move things back into on-prem, things get lost. Especially if you acquire more companies, as we frequently see. But one of our biggest pieces there is being able to tell you what things you might not know about by monitoring the cloud environments and monitoring any certificates and other details that would allow us to link a certain asset back to you. So there's that side of things that we see from our enterprise customers. We also see for our threat hunting customers, they use this for domain impersonation. They use this for hunting down different threats. So malicious infrastructure tracking. Same thing when it comes to bulletproof hosting. So criminal hosting providers. So kind of like AWS, but for criminals. So we track those as well. It gives us really kind of interesting data about what new softwares people are using. So when there's new malware, it'll often be spun up first in a bulletproof hosting environment. So we track it for that. Same things with brand impersonation or other phishing type use cases. So we have pretty interesting visibility into that. Additionally, we can kind of tell when certain countries are either blocking us or, might be shut down, specifically with, Russia or China or even Iran more recently. But tons of different avenues. And we've even had people use some of the data for tracking where the Starlink satellites are based on latency, which is immensely fascinating to us.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Give us a peek behind the curtain. How does your scanning technology actually work?
For sure. So I think at this point we have about 8 different locations around the world. So we have distributed server setups, and we are able to scan whatever chunk is visible to that. But we distribute the scans amount, so we're not, say you access a website from China and might be a little bit different than the one you would get if you visited from the US. So we try to base it location based, and then we kind of piece those all back together and figure out, okay, what software is this thing running? What type of hardware is this running? Parse out the different information about it, operating system versions, all that stuff. We then take that and make it indexable for customers, and then they can search it through one of our platform interfaces. So you can build out these really interesting queries that allow you to find, like one of the big ones we've been looking at recently is something called click fix, which I'm sure you've seen, or like the fake captcha stuff. So one of the things that we do there is we actually, on the internal side, we actually go in and click the button. We figure out, okay, what is it going to give us? What's actually going to happen? But you can write regex queries or other regular expressions that allow you to find interesting pieces of data or patterns that you're starting to identify among other servers.
Very cool. And why do big companies struggle to see all of their internet-facing assets with their internal tools?
Yeah, so honestly, as we've seen in the past, a lot of them don't have great internal tooling. There is things like Snipe It or other inventory management systems, but that requires people being very diligent and very intense or intentional about what they store, the external IPs. Sometimes external IPs change. From your ISP side, you just get a rotating one. Sometimes those things just get kind of lost in transitions. say, your company went through a layoff, someone might have forgotten, hey, we decommissioned that, or we spun up something else to aid with that process. And so it's kind of just a, too many wires, too many cooks in the kitchen type problem. So that's really one of those areas that we try to help in. But a lot of them are coming from, just spreadsheets or even more basic. Here's a file with all of our domains. That's about it. So there's a lot of different starting points.
Amazing. So we all know attack surfaces are growing exponentially. It's been happening for years. But what's changed in the last 3 years in particular?
Yeah, so we're not really going through the move to the cloud. We're honestly kind of seeing the opposite. We're kind of seeing people move back to on-prem and kind of having to patch things manually. So I'm sure you've seen the recent Outlook or Exchange vulnerabilities come out. Those have been, if you've moved to the cloud and you're there, maybe some of the Microsoft auto patching stuff or the auto updating stuff will help. But in situations where you've started to move back to on-prem, now it's becoming more important to patch the on-prem devices and making sure that none of those are kind of left unseen or unpatched. And that's another one of those areas where we try to highlight things that need patching or need updates to make sure that your on-prem environment is not being left behind.
Fantastic. And I imagine you're using AI now to find and prioritize threats. How does that work exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple different AI type tools that we've been building at Censys. There's one that we use for the query assistant. So say you don't know what you're looking for or you don't know how to type in, it's kind of similar to SQL type query language. So you might not be familiar with it, day one, but you can kind of put in English and it allows you to find the thing that you're looking for just from English. So instead of converting your English into the query language directly, it takes care of that. We've also implemented something called the Censys Assistant, which allows you to come in with even less information. So I have this domain, I have this IP address. What do you know about it? And then our AI will go through a number of processes related to checking if it's a threat, checking if it's related to malicious infrastructure, then analyze that and give you context around the vulnerabilities on it and what might be either priority to patch or priority to make sure that it's included within your Patch Tuesday or whatever it might be.
Fantastic. And is this really designed for large enterprises or can smaller businesses see results, take advantage of the tooling?
Yeah, so generally our ASM tool is for larger enterprise customers. We do have our search platform, which allows smaller or medium-sized businesses to actually just type in either known domains, known registrants, or just even the organization name. It's one of the first things I do is I just put my organization name in quotes and see what's in the database.
Wow.
But yeah, that's more where you'll see the help for the smaller small side of things. But yeah, I definitely be able to get some benefit out of it. We do, however, hide some CVEs from the lower tiers. We want to be careful about that. We don't want that data to be end up abused, and so we make sure that we are responsible with that type of disclosure.
I bet. Yeah, I mean, scanning the internet every day. Any interesting surprises or stories or anecdotes you can share without, again, revealing customers or names, embarrassing anyone?
No, yeah, happy to. There's a constant stream of things that are on the internet that shouldn't be on the internet. So we've seen things from wastewater treatment facilities to power plants to solar farms. We've seen the whole 9 yards. We've even seen infrastructure that fully lives on ships. And so we'll be connecting through it through Starlink, and we'll see that on Starlink they've forwarded all of the ports to all the other servers that exist on the ship. Some are navigational equipment. Some we've seen submarine, drone navigation equipment that allows you to literally control where the drones go. So there's all sorts of things. I think probably the most bizarre one that we've seen was probably one of the wastewater treatment facilities, because it literally had, and we've seen more in the recent months, Russia and other type entities try to exploit this. But there's literally a number for how much chlorine do you want to put in this water? How much of this? Do you want to shut off the system? There's just a button. So really, really want to make sure that we're emphasizing the importance of securing those essential systems. And luckily, we did work with the EPA and get these remediated, and they no longer are public, thank goodness. But it's every day I wake up and I'm like, why did someone put this on the internet? Who did this and why? So no, there's
Well,
always more.
it's an exciting space, terrifying but exciting, intriguing work you're doing. Let's shift to shadow IT, kind of an old-fashioned term, but even when I had a real job and at Oracle 10 years ago, it was still
Yeah.
epidemic of over-the-top third-party apps.
Certainly.
How big of an issue is it right now? Are CIOs coming to grips with shadow IT?
I think they're getting a much better understanding now, and even beyond the Censys customer space, they're slowly getting better insight into it. We're seeing the platforms themselves either come out with APIs to help you track the infrastructure that you have within it. A lot of it is, if you've ever managed an Amazon account or an Amazon AWS account, I'm sure you figured it out. Okay, my organization has 10 different accounts. How do I keep track of all of those subsequent assets? Oftentimes we'll see people build custom tooling. At Censys, we've built custom tooling that will go in and do this for our customers. So we'll actually access their cloud workspace and make sure that we fetch and monitor those assets so that they're not forgotten. Honestly, though, once you move outside of the cloud environment, then we're really dependent on, did this person keep the certificates or domains pointed at it correctly, making sure the DNS records are also up to date. Then we use a lot of that to keep track of that shadow IT. But it continues to be a pretty major problem. And even if it's just, if it's not a security issue, it might just be a financial issue of, hey, who's actually paying for this? What budget is this coming out of? What business group is actually paying for this server? And sometimes we found that certain business groups were overpaying or paying more than they had expected because they hadn't expected to see infrastructure deployed where it was. So it continues to be an issue. I don't know if I have great numbers to share with you there, but continually an issue and something that we are continually fighting on our side as well.
I bet. So what's next for Censys over the next year? Scanning the galaxy, intergalactic IP addresses. No, in all seriousness, what's on your radar?
No, for sure. So I think we're definitely seeing people move. The majority of our scanning infrastructure is around IPv4. IPv6 is the big thing that's coming, and so we're increasing our scanning rates and frequencies. There's several new interesting algorithms that we're being using to traverse IPv6. You can't just brute force it as you could with IPv4. It's a little bit more difficult. So we have that coming. We also have some really interesting threat hunting projects coming out. So we're continually expanding which malware and threats that we're tracking. I think we're going to be expanding more into phishing kits, things like ClickFix, or we call it internally fake captcha, just because there's so many of them. It's hard to keep track. But yeah, so mainly improving the threat side of things. And we're also looking at potentially figuring out how to scan faster and from different infrastructure. So it's a lot of fun.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, keep up the great work. Really important mission, and onwards and upwards.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aidan, for watching, for sharing, and everyone for watching, sharing this episode. Until then, take care. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Aidan. Bye-bye.